For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you've really
run out of time, and we've got to talk about your latest. I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school?
Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. Who or what are you celebrating today? Beware the Ides of March. They are upon us. But today we are celebrating Stephen Sondheim. And boy, is there a great celebration happening. And from what I understand, you cannot get a ticket. This is happening on the other coast in LA because theater is coming back. And that is something else that we can celebrate today. I have 4 amazing people waiting in the wings, and none of them know who I'm going to be bringing on first. I'm looking at them all right now. They're all smiling at me, standing in the wings. One of them's making lots of face. One of them is a Tony Award winner. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. He's teasing me about this. But let's see, who will I bring on first? Let's see. I'm going to bring on, I'm going to bring on Teri Ralston first. Oh. Hello, Teri. How are you?
I'm terrific. Oh, I get to be first.
You get to be first. I am so thrilled that you're here today. And first of all, Richard Skipper Celebrates. I want to ask, who or what are you celebrating today?
Oh, Sondheim. Every day I celebrate Sondheim.
Well, first of all, I want to go back in my little research. I know that you are originally from Colorado. And when you were growing up in Colorado and the music that you listened to in your household, what was the music that was originally calling you?
Well, it's interesting because I grew up in a town of about 1,000. I mean, out in the boonies, wheat fields and in northeastern Colorado. And there wasn't even a movie theater that would exist, continue. My parents, though, played, well, they had like Shirley Bassey, they had Joan Sutherland, and here's 2 diverse singers, of course, and I sang along with them. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was 9, 10, and I found out I could sing along with Joan Sutherland, and I could also sing along with Bassey and Shirley Bassey. I didn't get very much exposure to musical theater. And for some reason, I mean, when we're drawn to it, we can't even explain why. Mm-hmm. When I was pre-12, I was writing letters to movie stars and asking for their autographs. And I was producing shows in the garage, sometimes with my dog, sometimes with turtles in the backyard. I mean, my dad was a doctor. My mom was a housewife. I mean, where did this come from? I don't know, but I'm sure glad it did.
When it's there, it's there. One fun thing that I always do, Teri, is I begin my shows with a random question just for the fun of it. And I'm going to start with you with a random question today. And this question, I haven't even looked at it. So the random question for you today, if you could only have, well, are you a very tech person? Let's start there. So this may be a very interesting question for you. We're going to get tech savvy with Teri today. If you could only have 5 apps on your phone, what would they be?
Oh my God, what's an app? Oh, you can. Well, oh my God. Sirius Radio. It's an app.
It's an app, yes.
Oh God, I'm not good at apps. Well, I guess books on tape, movies, lots of movies, Broadway.com. Is that an app or no, that's
Well, if it's not, it is now.
okay. Well, I can tell you things I go to, all of the, well, I'll give you three, all of the theater channels.
That's great. I want to ask, how did you make the trek from Colorado to New York and Broadway?
Okay, I'll try to make this brief because, my parents, my dad was a doctor. They knew they wanted to move someplace else. They moved to Laguna Beach when I was 12. And I was in my first play there, A Ghost in the Green Gown, that memorable play. Mm-hmm. And I was in high school, literally, that's why I love teaching so much. I had a teacher, this Joan Lee Wohler, who saw me do some silly assembly thing and says, that girl has talent. And she got me involved in high school. And I don't know where my life would be without this woman. She entered me in acting competition for Orange County, and I won Best Actress. And she told me I should go to San Francisco State, and which I did, where I got a wonderful education. And while I was there, I got my teaching credentials. And while I was getting my teaching credentials, I mean, I've been really, really lucky, really blessed. I had put a nightclub act together and blah, blah, blah. But they saw me and they ended up casting me in Your Own Thing. Now, this is when I was still in college. They cast me in Your Own Thing. And the wonderful Rudy Toronto was directing. And I wanted to experience New York. So there was an opening in Philadelphia. He put me in the show. So I was on the East Coast. And then I went in, and one of the first shows I saw was Jacques Brel. And I said, oh, I have to do that. Young, naive, green. And I called the stage manager and I said, I need to audition for this. And I did, and I got it. That
Young,
year,
naive, green,
year out of college.
It works.
And that same year, I got company. So this was all the year out of college, so I had met George Firth actually in California, and he had written to Hal and said, I just found Jenny, unbeknownst to me. But then I went back to New York because I had gone to California to do Jacques Brel, blah, blah, blah. And I luckily decided to go on back to New York and audition for company, and I got it. So,
and the rest is history. We are going to talk about a young man a little later named Sondheim.
Yes,
before we get to Sondheim, I want to ask about another giant in the theater that you've also worked with. How did you and Jason Grah meet the first time?
Well, he changed my life. He absolutely changed my life. As he does for so many. We were in this, what we thought we were going to make a lot of money on. And we were cast in this movie, Geppetto, a Disney movie. Oh my God, we're going to have records, and we're going to, it's going to make so much money for us, and it's going to be so much fun. And we did have a ball. We were in the chorus of this movie, and boy,
Danny Kaye, Sandy Duncan, Jason Grah, Teri Ralston. So
yeah, right. It was a good group. And then our fearless leader wasn't happy with this movie, and so he put a stop to it, that they couldn't proceed with it. But we did make a CD, and we are getting residuals, which I mentioned, incredible residuals. I got one last week for 5 cents.
Oh, good.
5 cents. And we all get these, I believe. Yes.
Me too.
And then some time ago, which I have framed, I got a residual for 1 cent. it didn't get us rich.
So I have had the great pleasure of having Jason on this show before. So Jason, it's a thrill to have you back.
Richard, I'm so happy you're having me back. It occurred to me that I hope I'm not wearing the same shirt that I wore. I think it was like almost 2 years ago that I did your show.
When you, I don't think you are wearing the same shirt,
Okay.
but you have kept, you are still out there doing your thing. And once again, you are coming together. The two of you have done many events. This is the Musical Theater Guild, and you're doing this celebration of Sondheim. I do want to give a shout out to Dwayne, who could not be here today. Originally, we were going to be doing this one-on-one interview, and that didn't happen. So, Dwayne, I hope you're watching. And
we love you, Dwayne. We
yes,
love you.
and we will do this. So, Jason, if you could talk a little bit about the Musical Theater Guild and the work that they do, and the work that the two of you have done in the past, the Musical Theater Guild.
Well, Teri probably knows more about the history than I do, but because Teri, you were a founding member of it, right?
Mhm.
I love it. I only joined a few years ago. It's just got some of the best musical theater people in Los Angeles, and a lot of people I know from New York City. They came out to LA, and we're looking for a place to do musicals and keep that going. And it's really, really fun. And what we do, we do these staged readings of great shows, a lot of obscure shows and some shows that are less obscure, that are becoming more obscure. But everybody gets together. We have a limited rehearsal time. The shows are choreographed, staged. We hold book. We put them down sometimes in the musical numbers. There's a band, and it's terrifying. The first thing I did was Little Me, playing, all 30,000 of those roles, those Sid Caesar roles. And I wasn't a member yet, and I really didn't know what Musical Theater Guild was. And I thought, well, this is absolute insanity. And I was ready to jump off a building. And then I wrote them afterwards and said, could I please join your company? I had the best time with everybody. I just had the best time. But I couldn't love the group more. And everybody is so passionate about musical theater, and we all speak the same language. So I always look forward to doing shows together with them. Teri, you were a founding member, right?
Yes, all those years ago. Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see what this company has done. Jeff Rizzo originally got a group of us together to do theater, so we could take control of our own lives a little bit and do things we wanted to do. And it was, I don't remember how many people it was, maybe, God, I really don't remember, but it was a small, very fabulous group. But it's now grown to this amazing thing. And what year was it that it began?
Eileen Barnett can tell us that, because
I don't do years. I don't know what decade I did some shows in, except
and the fact that this past 2 years has thrown a monkey wrench into all of us.
Yeah, it's just kind of there and gone, and so you kind of
a blip.
Yeah, a blip.
I did want to say about our writer that that we all are stepping in for, Dwayne Poole. He's friends to all in the theater. He's one of the most wickedly hilarious and delightful and really, really in demand writer. He's written, I don't know how many, like 30 Hallmark Christmas movies. Probably more. That's probably underestimating it. And he's worked with Katharine Hepburn, and it's his body of work is really unbelievable. And I got to work with him very closely. He wrote a show called Scrooge in Love with Larry Grossman, and we premiered it out in San Francisco, and it's been a big hit in San Francisco, and it's delightful. So, but Dwayne's put together a really, really beautiful script and show.
Well, I want to mention the fact that this is a book show that he has written specifically for this. There's a lot of Sondheim celebrations, obviously, that will be happening, especially in the next week, because it is his birthday week. But this is a brand new show that he has pieced together. Almost every musical that Sondheim wrote, both for stage and screen. I was thinking about this because today is the Ides of March, and of course, Assassins. So I don't think that assassin is, portrayed in Assassins. But what numbers from Assassins are portrayed in the show without being a spoiler? And how do they present those songs in a show that are taken out of context? Are you able to share that with us?
I know that your next two guests will be able to share it a lot better than I do, because right now all I'm doing is memorizing my own stuff.
Well, let's bring on one of those guests. I'm going to bring on Brad Ellis, and he's here. Hello, Brad. Welcome.
Hello.
And so perhaps you could answer that question for us without giving away. The show is, I understand, sold out. Am I correct?
That's what I've been hearing. Yeah. As a matter of fact, they sort of come to the company and said, "Are you sure you're using your comp ticket for this?"
So the fact that it is sold out, is there a possibility, or are you able? I'm sure that with union rules and everything, perhaps you can, perhaps you can't. Are you able to stream this event?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't think we're going to. I think it's one night only, and it's a live event.
I think we should do it again. I'm already pushing for that.
Yes, I hope. Well, I hope that I can see it. I wish that I could be there. But how is this?
I've heard Sondheim's coming.
If anybody can be there, he will be there.
Yeah.
I'm sure
He'll be there.
He'll be there.
But you are you having scripts in hand, or how is this being? Is it being presented a la encores, or how is this being done?
It is scripts in hand, although I think for pretty much all of the musical numbers, which is 82% of the show or more, people are putting the scripts down. So it's, except for the Sondheim material, it's scripts in hand. Yeah.
That's the goal. That is the goal.
Yeah.
So putting the show together.
Except for Jason.
So, Brad, were you involved in this production from the get-go, or at what point did you come into the production itself?
Well, I've been friends with Dwayne for years, since I think the early 1930s. And he asked if I was interested in helping. They were going to use an in-company music director who's very fine. And so I was going to just help the burden, because there's so many musical numbers and you want to get the Sondheim just right. We thought maybe having two co-equal music directors would help. And then he got a gig on the Lehman trilogy. And then we found another terrific music director, a man named Michael Collum. And so he took over everything the previous music director had been doing. So I was the second guy they called, but I'm the first guy they called who's still involved.
And how, as the show pretty much stayed as Dwayne put it on paper, or has it evolved or changed as the show went together? And how many of people in the company itself were handpicked originally, and how has it evolved?
Okay, let's see. Let's tackle those one at a time. Dwayne's script was very impressive to all of us, and he was flexible, and we made adjustments as we went along. But his original vision is pretty much still guiding it as it was originally. I'd say there are maybe 20 blue pages and 3 pink pages, if you will. That it's mostly the original white pages. That's inside television talk.
Yeah, I got it.
And the guy
then, and there were a few company members who had done very specific Sondheim pieces of material that we thought this could plug in if everything works out schedule-wise. But by and large, it really was looking at the membership as a whole, those who were available for the night, and moving the pieces around until everything fit. I mean, you start with the centerpiece, which is Teri Ralston, a personal friend of Sondheim's, who originated, some great Sondheim material itself, and you sort of build out from there.
Now, I also want to bring Eileen Barnett on because Eileen Barnett was also, she was a pit singer in the original production of Company. And she very much is a part of this production. Eileen, welcome on board as well. So how did you get involved? Were you called and asked to be a part of this as well? How did this all evolve for you?
Well, I've been a member of Musical Theater Guild for about, I guess, 20 years. I think the Guild, I don't know if this counts the pandemic years, but this next season will be our 25th season. So anyway, so I've been a member for a long time, and we have a membership meeting by Zoom, and Mr. Jason Grah suggested that we do something. And we decided to do this Sondheim tribute, and I offered my services as we call them production coordinators. It's kind of like being a producer, but you don't put any money in. You just answer a lot of emails and just try to organize everybody. And so that's how I got involved. I'm also going to perform in it. And this has really been a labor of love. It's been fantastic. So I've been sharing the production coordinator duties with a wonderful guy named Glenn Rosenblum, who's also in the show.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up next. He was watching Glenn, who we all love, and he works tirelessly. So, yes.
Yeah, so we're kind of the liaison between the director and the cast and the, whatever. We just make sure everybody's happy and everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I've worked with all of these wonderful people. It's just, it's so great to see Teri again. I stayed in Teri's apartment in New York once, and I had no idea when I rented it that it was hers.
It was on Craigslist or something on Craigslist.
It was on Heather Lee's thing, on the Lee list.
Oh, yeah, the Lee list.
Yeah, and I said, I'll take that. And then Teri said, Eileen, it's my place.
I have a question, and either any of you can jump in and answer this question. Jason, you've done a lot of celebrations of Jerry Herman as well. When you do an evening celebration, celebrating the work of a particular composer, fans come expecting to hear a particular song or something. Sometimes they're sitting there waiting for that song to come on. And sometimes there may be a particular song that they've been waiting for, and that song may not end up there. What do you say to those fans who are waiting for a particular song that may or may not find its way into this particular production?
Buy the original cast album.
Exactly.
It's like what I love about our show is that Dwayne really went out of his way to find more of the obscure Sondheim. And I think it's really perfect for our organization, Musical
That's
Theater,
wonderful. Great.
which celebrates, the unknown musical. And so, we all know Sondheim's greatest hits, and the people that are going to come to this show at the beautiful El Portal Theater in North Hollywood, and they're co-producing this event with us. They're going to have heard a lot of the hit songs, and so I think people are going to be very interested to hear some of the more obscure songs, but there are definitely hit songs thrown in. I think everyone will be very, very happy.
Well, what a great answer. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a beautiful show, and what I love about the way Dwayne did it is that Jason is hosting, and never will he ever say during the show, and now we're going to do a song from, and so is coming out to sing from. It's not like that. It's beautifully scripted, and if the audience wants to know who's singing, they can just look in the program and see. But it's really lovely, and Brad has done some beautiful arrangements, and I'm excited. We had our first, rehearsal with everybody last night, and it was very exciting to be back in a theater again. You just looked out there, and we were in a theater. It was wonderful.
Oh, what an exciting experience that must be. Teri, is this your first time back in a theater, or have you been performing since COVID?
No, actually, the last show I did, Glenn was in it, and it was a ballroom, which we did in Palm Springs. And literally, we closed on my birthday, February 16th. And
2 days after my birthday. Happy birthday, by the way.
yours is when?
February 11th.
Oh, okay. Aquarians.
Yes.
Yes. And, you know, it actually, I as soon as it closed, I went back to New York for it was a company reunion thing that they were doing at Lincoln Center. And I hadn't seen the new one, and I had tickets for that. And of course, everything closed down the day after I got there. But we got through our full run of ballroom. And that's the last, I've done some, you know, things, you know, just solo things and stuff like that, but not a show. Not a show. That was it.
Welcome back. We've missed.
Yes.
You've been working. I mean, you've gotten back into the swing of things a little earlier than that. And how does it feel for you to be back into the swing of things again?
I just can't get enough of it. Yeah, you know, I kept working ish through it all. You know, I did a lot of online stuff where just, you know, as you know, there's no live audience there to kind of feed you or anything, but I enjoyed it. You know, it gave me something to warm up for and to get excited about, and, you know, put on some clean clothes every so often. I don't think I've gone shopping for clothes in 2 years. I don't think I have. But yeah, you know, and then I directed a grand night for singing last fall when it looked like we were opening up, you know, last September when things were looking kind of hunky-dory. And so in October, I directed at Musical Theater West a grand night for singing. And it was a ball to be back with people in person and, you know, seeing an audience and just making music together all under the same roof. We're a live entertainment form, and it's been really, it's been a tough 2 years.
Oh, you can say that again.
Yeah.
And what about you, Brad?
Yeah.
Oh, no, Terry, go ahead. I'm sorry, Terry, go ahead.
Oh, no. It's just, you know, being in Palm Springs, it's kind of the first stop for a lot of people on tour again. And the joy that you feel. Bernadette Peters was here. I saw her, and Michael Feinstein a couple nights ago, and David Foster. And this thing of not having performed, and then this is the first time out. People are nervous, but the joy that you feel from the performers and the audience, it's a wonderful thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, go ahead.
Brad.
Well, yeah, everything certainly slowed down, as it did for absolutely everybody. And two of the main performance venues in my life have been symphony orchestras. And working with a band supporting a singer. Usually it's Matthew Morrison, my very good friend from Glee. And so in several places where we did concerts over the last couple of months, we were the very first person back in a venue that had been closed up for a year, 18 months and so forth. And it's, you know, Matthew's great. But the kind of response we were getting was also like, oh my God, we're alive and we're in a theater again, which doubled the response, which was great. Orchestra stuff, I've only done one in the last few months. And that's something I miss so much because, you know, making music with 80 musicians that you've just met is just such a wonderful thing. And that's hard to schedule around uncertain futures. So I did one in South Carolina not too long ago.
Where in South Carolina?
Yeah.
Where in South Carolina? My home state. That's why I ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a symphony orchestra. It was the venue was a university. You know, I'm sorry they start to blend together even when,
I know,
when it's been 2 years without too many of them. Because orchestras in this country, by the way, are in great shape. As tough as arts are, for better or worse, the lack of opportunities for musicians means that even when you go to the smaller venues, you've got great musicians, you know.
Oh, that's good.
80 great musicians. Yeah, so that's, I learned that I really miss that. I really miss the actual sound of trombones and trumpets coming at you from this direction, and the violas and violin too, and you know, that the movement of air, you know. That ain't a Zoom thing.
No. And may we never lose that. Eileen, what about yourself? Getting back into the swing of things, is this a first for you, or have you been able to perform prior to this?
Actually, this is my first thing in a big theater in a long time. I have a friend that many of us know. You might know him too. He's a wonderful director, Richard Israel, and he works with people that are putting new shows together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we did Equity calls them these 29-hour readings. And so we did that a couple weeks ago, but I have to say it was just this little musical that this woman had wrote, and they just do it so that the creators can hear it and see where the good places are and the bad places. But it was so great to have something to work on, just something to learn and something to be with other people and make music. And we had a little trio, and it was just wonderful. And last night at rehearsal, we were standing up on the stage, working with the musical directors, and I turned around and looked out at the audience at the theater, and it was just it kind of took my breath away. It was very moving. It was a very moving experience, and then to also, Brad made this beautiful arrangement of. I shouldn't say what song I wanted to be surprised, but it's a gorgeous Sondheim ballad, and it was hard to get through, without being emotional.
I want to be there. I want to be there.
I don't know if we're streaming. Are we streaming this? Do we know?
I think
the producer.
So.
Wait, that's you.
I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt. Can I add something?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Absolutely.
Just because I should put a plug in for this. One thing that I did that I should talk about is I did which I would call an album. We do these shows in New York, which I do whenever I can, Sondheim Unplugged. And so Philip Jeffrey Bond produced a three multi-CD sets with every Sondheim song you can imagine. And so I recorded in one day 3 songs that he wanted me to do, and there'll be one on each set, and they're out. You can get it. It's called Sondheim Unplugged. But I got to say, I thought, can I still sing? Because I'm not someone who sings in the shower. And so I really that's what's amazed me about all these people performing. They're in such great shape. They kept themselves in great shape. And I really had to start singing around the house a little bit, because he had me singing all over the place, high soprano and blah, 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 all this stuff. So anyway, I thought I should get that plug in.
Teri, anytime you get the urge, pick up the phone and call and sing to me.
Oh.
Anytime.
It's true, you really have to get those chords back in shape, especially if you're not 25, And
I used to roll out of bed and sing a high E. I can still sing the high E, but I can't.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Absolutely everything on me has atrophied.
I want to ask Teri. I want to go back to Sondheim for a moment. I want to talk about the man and the impact that he had on you as an artist and as a human. If you can give us a little impact, as to how he changed your life. We all know the obvious, but give us a little insight into him that we may not know about him.
Okay. Well, these are kind of these are just personal moments I had with him, that were, that I got to know him as the man. First of all, we worked together at it, when he was 40. That's when he was 40, and it was the first collaboration of Hal and Michael and Steve. But I had times that, I look back now, I said, oh my God. At one point when Hal was, had produced Candide over in Brooklyn, and I had been in California, and I came back, and he said, well, come on and go with us. We'll go with this. And Steve's going, so you'll be Steve's date, So I was just with Hal and Judy and Steve, and I had times like when Harvey Evans, dear beloved Harvey Evans invited me over to dinner, and he said, "You don't mind if I have Steve over to you?" And I said, "Oh, that'll be fine." So I mean, we sat and drank wine till all hours. I really got to spend personal time with him, and I was quite young. I didn't know who Sondheim was going to be. I knew he was, he was this brilliant man that I was working. I mean, we were all a little, you got comfortable with him, but he was shy, and so it wasn't just someone like with Hal. I mean, Hal was like, I was my buddy, and Steve. I got to spend this, personal time with him. But you were always a little bit, you wanted to please him, and he influenced my life hugely. A lot of what I learned from him, I didn't even know I was learning until later. But, and then also just, which I've mentioned in other interviews, I got to be at his house, his apartment with Hal. I did the backers auditions for company because they had to raise money for Follies. So I got to be there.
It was night music.
This was for night music, but they had to raise the money for Follies. So the backers auditions were for a little night music. And this one time I was there and with Hal, and Steve said, "Well, I didn't write the song that you want." He struggled. He struggled with this song. So he said, "But I wrote a lyric I really like." And so, he played it for us, and it was, the cigar butt bizarre, but you're joking, and he just smiled, and he loved that lyric. So he was meticulous, and I had well, this is just, you all know he's such a perfectionist, and we did the trip, the big Sondheim reunion. I mean, the reunion, which was for everybody, and that Scrabble album, that big celebration of Steve. And I sang, they gave me like what they considered the 11 o'clock numbers. "We're Gonna Be All Right," which I did with Larry guitared. And there was this one note that was like a quarter of a note different than what I was singing. It wasn't off pitch. It just wasn't good. And I struggled and struggled over that. And when the show was over, I went to Hal, and the first thing I said, "Did I do it?" And he went, so, you learned to, and a couple of, just one more quickie. I did a nightclub act, and he came to see it, and I did Anyone Can Whistle, and Losing My Mind, and I sang in the song. It's the title is "Spend Sleepless Nights," and I said, "Spend sleepless nights and think about you." The lyric is "Spend sleepless nights to think about you." And
duh.
I know. I mean, that's a huge difference. And then in Anyone Can Whistle, I sang, I didn't say "learn to be free." I said "to be free" or something. And so after the show, thank God he did like my show, but the first words out of his mouth, he says, "It's learn to be free and to think about you." First words out of his mouth. So he was precise, and he wanted you to be precise. You do not change Stephen Sondheim words. So, that was a big learning thing for me. Not that I didn't know you don't sing the right words, but just the difference. And it made me so appreciate the time he takes with little pronouns and how important they are. And that's just something to really learn and teach as you go along.
Words were very important to him. Very important.
Very, very important.
Jason, you also you never worked with Stephen Sondheim, or am I correct?
I
But
did.
you did have an encounter with him.
I've had some encounters with him, and I did 3 recordings of Sondheim songs that he was part of the recording, but I wasn't working one-on-one with him. But through Bruce Kimmel's first album with Varese Sarabande was Unsung Sondheim. And it's a great album. And it was a lot of unknown Sondheim, which I think we're doing a couple of the songs from that album on this. So I sang a song called No Marianne, which was from the TV movie that he wrote, The Thing of It Is. And this was supposed to be his version of kind of like Jerry Herman's Mame or Hello Dolly, like a big hit song. And it was Stephen Sondheim's version of a real earworm song. And of course, it's not quite that, but it's pretty great. It has a kind of Another 100 People sound to it, and I got to sing it. And then I did Liz Calloway and I on unsung, what was it called, Lost in Boston, songs from flop shows. We sang Honey, which was, I guess, that did make it into Merrily We Roll Along. But and then I did I've done some stuff with him. The last time I actually saw him was at a big event out here for LA Theater Festival or Music Theater Festival. It was a big tribute to Sondheim, and it was in Bel Air at this millionaire's huge house. And he was there, and he was getting an award. And so there were a bunch of us LA theater types that were singing songs, and everybody sang a Sondheim song, and I sang that Barry Kleinbord song that I love. I Won't Sing a Sondheim Song. You've probably sung it, Richard. Yes. And such a funny song, and it killed. I mean, it just killed. The audience just loved it. And there I am, Stephen Sondheim's there with his scotch in the back, and there I was, so funny, and I was so excited. And afterwards, my mother was there, and I introduced him. He came up, and I introduced him to my mom, who was, just thrilled and trying to be very poised. Oh, hello. And then I turned to him and I said, feeling kind of good about myself, and I said, "So, have you heard that song before?" And he went, "Oh God, yes." I thought I was a riot.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
He didn't pull any punches, that's for sure.
Yes, no, he didn't.
He knew what he
I'll share a
thought.
funny story with you later.
Can't wait.
Brad, do you have a story to share?
A couple. I met him a bunch of times because he was a fan of Forbidden Broadway, and even would sometimes tease us if our numbers weren't sarcastic enough, and offer suggestions that were brilliant and great. I mean, I swear he'd be sitting there next to Cameron McIntosh and writing down better ideas. But I actually first met him like 45 some odd years ago, when I was a tow-headed little blonde kid in his late teens who I'd somehow hooked up with the music department while I was still in high school at Brandeis University, which had included people who went on to amazing success at that time. Crane and Kaufman were there, and their professor had written a musical that is nowhere near as good as the Crane and Kaufman efforts that will follow, but it still was quite interesting. And he knew Sondheim, and Sondheim was letting us use his offices at the Dramatists Guild to do our little tryouts, our little attempt to raise money, and people would come with their money and think like, not a chance. But he was very friendly and very sweet, and also related to the same record producer that Jason and I both worked with. There came up a last-minute, really sudden assignment to do orchestrations for unused music that Sondheim had written for Stravinsky and a couple of other pieces that had never been orchestrated, and I only had like 42 hours before the recording session. And so I got the material, faxed, hard to read, definitely Sondheim's handwriting, much more dissonance than the usual Broadway songs. And I thought, okay, there's a lot of notes here. and I have some material from Sondheim that's been orchestrated by Tunick, and I see that Tunick sometimes combs out some of the greater dissonances to still have the same Sondheim sound and result. And so I spent the whole 42 hours thinking, what would Tunick do? What would Tunick do? Like he was on my shoulder, dictating how would Tunick orchestrate this? And I did it as fast as I could. And then before you know it, it's the recording session. You know, Jason, these things, they go quick. And so I'm like conducting some of it and playing some of it, and went into a show the day after the recording sessions and like forgot everything I had done. And I wouldn't see Sondheim for years, but the record producer did. He saw him and had a lunch with him, and he said, Sondheim really liked your work on that album. And you know what he thought was so impressive? You didn't just try to do what Tunick would do. So that's one of my most successful failures ever.
Wow.
Because all I wanted to do was
Womp,
womp, exactly.
Well, and
Tunick
that's
was
show business,
amazing,
kid.
though. Tunick
What?
was so amazing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I
God.
remember listening to the company album when it
Which
when
you're
it first
on.
came out. And
Yeah.
no, I was a replacement.
You joined in late. Okay.
Yeah, I joined late. So
It's brilliant and it's new. Yeah. The Tunick sounds.
I ever really, for me, because I'm not an orchestrator or that fantastic of a musician, but it was the first time I went, oh my God, those orchestrations are amazing. And
Well, an amazing thing happened. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's just that Sondheim heard Promises, which Tunick orchestrated, and thought, that's the urban sound. That's the clean, clear sound. These things like harmon mute trumpets and so forth. And so when it was applied to Bacharach, it's entirely different than when you applied it to Sondheim. But when you hear the album side to side, you think like, oh, I hear what Sondheim heard and how Tunick got it just right. Yeah.
And I just want to add one thing here. This was a birthday party that is what Jonathan Tunick's wife threw for him. And of course, Steve was there. And he went up, and just so you know this side of Steve, and he said, without Jonathan, I would not be. And he got very tearful. And I mean, you know, that's, you know, he had the softest, dearest side to him, you know.
Yeah.
So he just was so devoted to Jonathan.
Well, he did make his, he had a lot to do with his sound, you know.
Oh,
I mean, a lot to do with it. He was amazing. You know, when I auditioned to replace this one pit singer that was leaving, this job as a pit singer was, I have to say, it was really easy, and you know,
Especially hair and makeup. Yeah.
and so you know, you go in, you sing a song, and then if you pass that part, they gave you just like, I don't know, 4 bars of music to just sight read. Now, you did not need to sight read. You would learn it. You know, you would have time to learn it before you got in the pit. And of course, I didn't sight read. So, but he wanted to make sure we did. So I ran out in the alley, and my piano sang it for me, and came back in. I did. But he, you know, he wanted good musicians in there, and somehow I got in. I don't know how. But you really
were a good musician.
I suppose. I figured it. Yeah.
So I am going to actually be giving away, I've got a compilation of these great Stephen Sondheim CDs, and I'm going to give them away because I can't give away tickets for the show unless I can give away a free streaming ticket to the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring, the word for today is diligence. I picked this word because I think of this word when I think of Sondheim. Everything that I've read, finishing the hat, everything, the detail that he spent working on this. I end my shows with my homage to James Lipton inside the Actors Studio and the questions that he asked. So I've got some random questions that I'm going to ask each of you just for the fun of it as we wrap up today. And I'll start with you, Teri. Being in the theater, And for those who are watching, you've developed, as you're lucky enough to have in this business, fans in this business. What do your fans mean to you in this business?
Oh, I'm unaware that I have fans.
Trust me, you have fans.
I mean, it means everything because it's sort of a validation that you've done something maybe right. And just having moved to Palm Springs, there's so many people from my theater world, and it's just the warmest, most wonderful feeling. And I still am amazed. I never expect this I just am amazed and most appreciative because I've been given this amazing opportunity. I've just been so blessed with my career. I couldn't be more thankful.
That's
Never
great.
take it for granted for 1 minute.
Jason, what one woman, because this is National Women's History Month, what one woman most affected the choices that you've made in your career?
Oh, wow. Well, it's between two. Can I say two?
You can say two.
Oh, thank you, Richard. By the way, I was trying to type diligence on the chat thing, but it won't let me. The two are my band teacher from Robert E. Lee, of all things, elementary school in Tulsa, Oklahoma, just found me, and I can't even believe she remembered me. But my band teacher, Mrs. Beard, from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Lee School. I took my first music test, and she realized that I had, some talent in the music world, and I really wanted just to play clarinet in the band and kind of blend in with everybody. I had a weird name. My parents were divorced. I was from Chicago, transplanted to Oklahoma. Everything about me was peculiar. So I just wanted to sit in the back of the band playing clarinet with everybody else and try to be normal for just 1 second. And I had this good score in my music test. And so she called my mother in and got me, instead of playing clarinet, to play oboe. And she reached out to me and said, we'd never had oboe players at Lee's School. And you really struck me as someone that would be really great at the oboe. Now, I know I haven't gone on into a major career playing oboe, but it really... It changed my way of thinking and thinking kind of outside the box, and that it wasn't bad to be, not part of the norm and to be a little peculiar and to, play the instrument of the duck instead of the cat in Peter and the Wolf. So that was that long ass story. And then the other one was my mother. And I was a complete mama's boy. And my mom helped me a lot. She didn't really want me to go into theater because she herself was a dancer in New York City. And she said, honey, just keep playing your oboe and keep studying, and you can teach. And, theater is a tough business. And of course, as I tell, students, anytime, the only way that you should go into theater is if you just absolutely have to go into the theater and there's nothing else you want to do. And you follow that passion. And my mom, helped me to see the practical side, but she also was very, very encouraging when I decided to hang up my oboe and pick up more hang-ups. Thank you and good night.
Well, God bless both of them. So, Brad, outside of this business, how do you spend most of your time?
Well, I have, me and my wife have a dog that we're amazingly devoted to. I mean, this dog really runs the house. But, you don't need lots of hobbies if you work with musicians.
Good. And Eileen, what are you working on next?
What am I working on next? That's a horrible question to ask an actor. It's like at a party, what are you doing? What are you doing? Nothing. Probably I'll be working either, behind the scenes or on the stage. I don't know, for the next Musical Theater Guild show, which is going to be How to Succeed in Business.
Wow.
We're doing that May 1st at the Alex Theater in Glendale. So probably I'll help out with that in one way or another. I'm always auditioning for TV and commercials and stuff like that, so that I can pay for my musical theater habit, and maybe do my cabaret act. I don't know. Maybe. Nothing.
Bring it to New York. We'll be there.
I will come. I would love to come.
Yes, that would be great. Teri, your favorite movie that was adapted from a Sondheim musical?
Well, it's a little hard to be objective. I really liked A Little Night Music. It wasn't everybody's favorite, but it was so much fun seeing it, in that form, and seeing people that I knew. And I don't know. I don't think it was the best. I think probably the best was, with a few exceptions here, Into the Woods.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the best adaptation.
Okay.
And I've enjoyed them all, but yeah.
Sweeney Todd would have been good had they gotten people who could sing.
Well, that's my problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been wonderful, but it was a wonderful film, and I love what Steve said about it, because people didn't like it. And he said, it's a different media. It's film. It's a different piece, So I just had problem with my moment that just kind of killed the whole movie for me was when Sweeney sees his wife, and after seeing it on stage, and that howl that he lets out, that no, and it wasn't able to be done in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Jason, what is the greatest joy for you of performing a Sondheim?
Oh, gosh. Just even working on this material, it feels so current. When he died, we were all so moved, and it was we all felt the loss. I just was shocked at how long I felt the loss for. And I didn't, I'd met him several times. I was not in a show with him. I was called back to the end for Merrily We Roll Along, but I didn't get to go to the callbacks because I was working at Goodspeed, and they wouldn't let me out of the final week. So I couldn't go to the final callback, which crushed me, because that's all I wanted to be, was in Merrily. But I still put on Merrily We Roll Along and listen to that album. I think it's one of the greatest scores ever written. And it's just part of your soul. I've done Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum twice. I played Pseudolus, and I played Hysterium at the York Theater so long ago. And Stephen came to see that. And, it's so smart, and it makes you feel smart. It makes the musician, the singer, feel good singing the words, and it brings out the best in you, and you have to rise to the occasion of the material. And it calls upon you to really bring your A game. You can't just walk through it. And I just love it. And I hope to do many more shows by him.
I hope so. Now, Brad, you mentioned.
Well said, Jason. Well said.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Eileen.
Now, Brad, you said earlier that you think that rumor has it that Sondheim will be attending this. So this question is appropriate for you. Do you believe in the afterlife? And if so, what do you think it will be like?
I'm definitely a deist, like many of the founding fathers. I think that we're all immortal. The problem is we're not immortal as our egos. Like, we don't get to go to the afterlife and think like, and then I'm going to get my revenge. We're immortal because we are humanity. And, the arc of moral justice, bends in the right direction given enough time. And our world is seeing it bent in the wrong direction right now. But I got to believe, that we'll come back, that things like the Russian invasion are a cancer that we cure ourselves of that cancer. It's just how long it takes and how many lives it takes. I know that seemed to get a little far afield from the Sondheim question you just asked, but
you
I
answered
live in
that
hope.
question beautifully. I thank you for that answer.
I've been saying "Uyavit mir dla Ukraini," which in Ukrainian is imagine peace, mir, like the space station. Imagine peace for Ukraine. So,
yes, thank you.
Thank
you. Eileen, in this crazy world that we're living in, what inspires you right now?
What inspires me? Well, it is a crazy world, and luckily theater has reopened, and I have been inspired by some of the things I've been able to see. I just saw the Lehman trilogy, which knocked my socks off, and I'm inspired, also through all this pandemic and stuff. I've been watching a lot of television, and there's been some amazing things on television, and some marvelous series and marvelous performances. And whenever I see people performing, artists performing, it inspires me. It does. And my dogs.
Me too.
My dogs always inspire me.
Me too. Teri, who are your favorite composers beyond Sondheim?
Well, Stephen Schwartz, definitely.
Good answer.
I mean, Gershwin, Kern, Berlin, Stephen Schwartz.
That's great. And that's going to be our last question for the day. And I'm going to give away a Sondheim compilation. And this is how I do it. As you can see, my hands are here. So you know that I have nothing to do with picking the winner. And Tasha Lombardi. Tasha, send me an email and I will get this out to you. Richard@richardskipper.com. I'm going to take you off the screen here and I'm going to bring us all back up here. I want to thank you all for being here. I wish so much that I could be there on the 22nd. All of you inspire me. So it means a lot to me that you all said yes to being here today. Dwayne, I know that you are here in spirit today, and when the time is right, you will be here. And you're welcome anytime. And I know that I can speak, I think, for all of you when I say this. In the theater, whether it and on Zoom, we don't take it lightly when you all show up. So thank you for spending an hour with us this afternoon. We don't take it lightly. If this is your first time at Richard Skipper Celebrates, my hope is that it will not be your last time. My goal and my intent is to celebrate art, to celebrate artists, to celebrate life, to celebrate Sondheim, to celebrate everything. I believe that if we take the time that we can celebrate each other instead of tearing each other down. And that's what my goal in life is all about. In social media, and this is my soapbox for the moment, on Facebook, on Twitter, on everything, if you see a positive post, like it, share it, comment. If you see a negative post, delete it, move on. That's what it's all about. I lost Brad. I hope that he'll come back. Maybe I hope I did lose him. But in any case, celebrate. That's what it's all about. Go out and I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list, and here he is. I'm bringing him back on. Go to your Facebook friends list and reach out to the sixth name on your Facebook friends list and reach out with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, but a phone call. And let that person know what they mean to you. As my dear friend Sean Moniger always says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And I always say, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along. So I'm going to leave the screen, and I'm going to give each of you a chance to have your final word. And we're going to go in this order. God bless you. Brad, Jason, Eileen, and then Teri, you will have the final word. Don't worry about how to end the show, Teri. When you say goodbye, the credits will start to roll. God bless you. Anything that we talked about today that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you want to build upon, that you want to talk about, or just any final message you want to put out to everyone. And Glenn Rosenblum, thank you for all you did to make this happen today. And thank you again for being here today. And Brad, thank you, Eileen. And Brad, you've got the stage.
Thank you, Richard. We love you.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you.
Well, it's been delightful to be able to connect with all three of you and Richard. And I'm really excited about the show. I think it's going to be great. And I hope I didn't get too far afield with my Ukraine comments. We can always edit those out in post-production. It's not like this goes out live or anything. So it should be fine. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Brad. Is this thing in front of my... Oh, no, now it's in front of Eileen's head. I had such a great time seeing everybody, and it's always fun to see Richard Skipper. You're an inspiration to us, Richard. I wanted to just tell this one last story about this other time that I met Stephen Sondheim, and it was when I was doing Hysterium at the York Theater, and a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, and I left Forever Plaid to go do this, and it was supposed to be with Lonnie Price as Pseudolus, and I was Hysterium, and we did the first like table read, and it was pretty apparent that it was like dueling Hysteriums at the table read with Lonnie Price and me. and I was so excited to work with him. And of course, he can do anything. He's amazing. But his father got very sick, and so he had to leave the show. So Jack Cirillo came in. And we had a great time. Pam Hunt directed it, and it was a really, really wonderful cast. And we got great reviews. And there was rumors that Stephen was going to be coming to see the show, and everybody was all buzz. And I said, please don't tell me. I hate to know when anybody's in the audience. I'm one of those people that really doesn't want to know. So I didn't, they never told me. At the curtain, well, particularly Good Night happened. And at the curtain call, I was bowing, and I got kind of a good ovation. And as I bowed, I saw Stephen Sondheim there. And I was so excited. And after the show, he came backstage, and I was feeling kind of cocky, kind of good about myself, like, here's your funny Hysterium. And I went over and I hugged him. He was on crutches because he'd broken his leg. And he actually recoiled from me. Like I hugged him, and he went, like I was so overexcited. And I knew how thrilled he must have been with my Hysterium performance. And yeah, he recoiled. And I guess he's not a real affectionate guy, you know, like at the stage door, but also he had just broken his leg. So he was probably terrified that I was going to
Probably hurt him.
Yes, I probably did. I probably injured his other leg. Anyway, you know, all my encounters with him were a little peculiar, but he still remains my hero. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. I love you, girls. Great to see all of you.
Okay, so I'm next. I really don't have anything terribly important to say. Musical theater is like the best thing ever. I just, you know, I used to teach at AMDA, and there's so many new kids coming up in this, and it's difficult to have a career in it, but keep trying. It is just, it's just the best. I love performing on stage more than anything else, and except for my dogs, and who we all love and who inspire us all the time. And peace in Ukraine. Peace out. That's me. Bye-bye.
Hey. Oh, there I am. Well, I'm going to just, this was something very significant to me about with Steve. I had a dream about him. This was about a week before Thanksgiving. I had a dream, and the dream was just simply, we were hanging out. We were just sitting on a sofa and just chatting. And it was just this, we spent the whole day together. We just hung out the whole day. This was my dream. And I woke up the next morning, and I just felt so warm, and I felt so connected. And I said, I've got to write to him. Had been going to do that. So I sat down and spent a lot of time writing to him. talking about particular times that I shared with him, how important he's been in my life. I mean, he really helped shape my life. And I sent the letter on Thanksgiving, and he never got it. And so when Don McKechnie called me the next day and told me that he had passed, and it shouldn't be a surprise because he was 91, but I felt so connected to him at that moment, because as I wrote this letter, I was having memories, and it took me back to the last time I saw him, and so it was kind of wonderful in a way that I felt this connection, and that I wrote this letter. I wish he had gotten it, but at least I wrote it. And he's going to live on. He's going to live on, and his music is going to live on forever. The genius that he gave us. And I just want to say, Richard, thank you for what you do. Thank you so much. I love your show. I love your positiveness and your celebrations. It's wonderful. And I love theater. I love theater. I love my theater family. And I am so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you.